Shahid Kapoor and Kiara Advani from me, Hrishi K, and everybody at Radio 1. Welcome to the studios. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're
excited.
We're as good as you can be 10 days before.
Yeah.
I don't know when you're putting this interview out. So just a few days before the release of KabirSingh.
So Urvashi is when you guys worked together for the first time. Is that it? Or was that?
Yeah, that's where
True,
we actually
yes,
kind of
that's
met
right.
for the first time.
We met for the first
Yeah,
time.
Now that can be
before
very intimidating if you're supposed to do some dancing with Shahid Kapoor on the set.
True.
How did you handle the intimidating moments?
Well, fortunately, his portions of the dance and my portions of the dance were separate. So there were no steps that I had to do which he was doing, or I would have been anyway. I was having sleepless nights, but if I had to do that, then it would be how am I going to match up to Shahid Kapoor? But it was fun. That was a fun shoot. It was a fun video, and it came out
ये
really
कितना
well.
humble बात कर रही है.
Brother, you can never do what she did in Lust Stories.
Bro, give me a chance.
You can be the Meg Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Idhar.
Just saying. I thought give her a ditch.
Why
brother.
not, bro?
You think
You and
could?
me know exactly what it's all about. So then it's just about putting it out there.
Okay,
But
now
well done on
that
that.
makes me a bit
And I haven't seen you since.
uncomfortable.
Why?
Well, it's a very natural thing.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. You're right.
But I just remarkable performance again in Batti Gul Meter Chalu.
Thank you, man.
How
Thank
good
you
are
so
you,
much.
man?
Thank you,
Oh,
bro.
you are. It's so easy to have a man crush on this guy. You know when he puts out those effortless performances. And KabirSingh promises to be exactly that, brother. Anger management.
Hopefully, we're hoping so that people will feel that on the 21st of June.
And considering how clean your lifestyle is
Yeah.
with vegetarian and this and that,
Yeah.
to do an Urta Punjab and this,
Yeah. I
snorting-
always wonder why they bring me these roles.
noxious
And
substances.
What's is even weirder
what
is
is it
people
with
seem to
him
be
and
liking
these
me in
roles?
them. So, sorry.
How do you do these roles? I've asked you this before.
I guess, well, everybody's like high and having a great time at a party. I'm just standing on the side looking at them. So
So he's observing all the high
It
people to
kinda
know how to
helps,
play
I
the
don't
high
know.
people.
But I don't know, man. I guess that's what acting is all about, right? Doing
Yeah.
stuff that you haven't experienced yourself, playing characters who are very different from who you are. So it is about putting yourself out there and taking up roles which are challenging and which make you feel like you might not be good enough or you might not understand them enough. Having said that, I think a lot of people are drawing parallels between Urta Punjab's Tommy Singh and KabirSingh, but I really feel they are two completely opposite characters. Tommy was first of all a very selfish guy who was self-oriented. He was a pop star, a Punjabi pop star who couldn't see beyond himself. And Kabir is absolutely the opposite. He can't see beyond Preeti, and he becomes self-destructive and destroys himself for his love for somebody else. So he actually has, even though he's going through a lot of those beats, but the reason why he's going through them are completely different. So Kabir is a passionate lover, and Tommy was just a lost kid who didn't know what he wanted in life.
How beautifully described. You've done a fair amount of work down south. So
I've done 2 films.
You've done 2 films. So you understand the magnitude of what Arjun Reddy was all about. I mean, I believe it was the bomb which just blew up. And the opportunity to do that, were you aware, conscious of how big the original was?
It was a cult film. It was a film that was loved. It did exceedingly well in the South, but then even all over India, I mean, anyone and everyone who was even not Telugu speaking had someone at least heard of this film. It just became that absolute, it was suddenly this talking point. And I did watch it before I was even offered the film, and I remember watching it and falling in love with the character. It was almost like you want to be that girl this boy loves and falls in love with, because just the way he loves her and just the way he's so head over heels in love with her was it's there today, but it takes a while to kind of find that soulmate or find that person or end up with someone like that. And I feel like when this opportunity came my way, I was hoping, and I really wanted to do an intense romantic film, and I wanted that in my filmography, and I feel no better film than this to give me that opportunity, because I think it's real, it's raw, it's just as real as it gets. There's no fluff, there's no there's nothing. It's so flawed and it's just so genuine and honest that I think it's rare to see something like that, and it's rare to kind of tap into that, and it's scary. It's very scary. I was scared when after signing I was like, okay, but now I have to deliver this and we need to execute this, And but I'm glad that the same director, Sandeep sir, who's directed the original, has made this one. And it's amazing because we've worked with him and we've seen the amount of passion. It's as though he was making his first film again. It wasn't like, I made this film so I know I'm gonna just do the same thing. Even though it's a remake, he tried to keep, and he was so excited every day. Every scene was as though he was shooting it for the first time. And we wanted to make sure that we were adding our originality to it, even though it is a remake. So,
and he's a physiotherapist, or a physiotherapist gone wrong.
Our
right.
director.
Well, he's a doctor, and I think he does have the qualification of being a physio. Maybe that's why the reason to make Kabir a surgeon, because he understands the world of medicine, and he himself has been a medical student. So he kind of understands the campus space, the way things are there, and there are some very unique things, which we also kind of realize that when you're a medical student, how it is, because he understood that, because he's lived that life, and he's himself gone to university and been a medical student. So definitely it brings a lot of real, candid originality to the kind of campus love story that this is.
And in effect, you've taken a punt on a new director. I mean, he did the Telugu version, but the fact is, Arjun Reddy was his first film, and this is his first Hindi film.
Yeah.
And does that ever matter? I mean, at this stage of your career?
I couldn't see anybody else making this film.
Wow.
I saw the film. I felt that it was a great film. First of all, I became an Arjun Reddy fan after I saw the film. Usually when, people say that, ek South ka remake hai. First of all, they don't know how to differentiate between Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam. They are
What's
all
the deal with
different. They're all different languages, different states.
Yeah.
People just say South ka remake hai. So, I saw it, and I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe it'll be a loud action film with that, that masala stuff in it and all. And I was so surprised with how real, like she's saying, how real, how raw, how unadulterated and honest the film was. And it just blew me away, and I had to give it a shot. I mean, if we can take this film to the mainstream Hindi film audience, which is a very wide audience, and I can be the vehicle through which the filmmaker takes it there, I feel privileged to have that opportunity.
And in that aspect, Indian cinema has changed a lot, because back in the day, surgery just meant, inko Advani dua ki zarurat hai, and the surgeon coming outside. But you got the shit now, man. You've got the robotics and all those, arms, and surgery is a complicated thing.
Yeah.
And from whatever I can see in the trailer and the teasers, this is the authentic stuff. I mean, you've been in an OT yourself.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's an orthopedic surgeon, so surgery is there in the film, but it's not a very big part of the film. But it's been very clearly established and being done in a very real way. Definitely.
So you break the bones and you mend them.
Well, pretty much. They come with broken bones, and apparently the alcoholic KabirSingh mends them. He's good at that.
Well, you've got to love the fact that he can play frail, and then he can just transform into this mighty beating machine, and that's when you can marvel at his acting skills.
Absolutely.
How was getting a ringside view of that on set? How was that? Fanboy, dude. Fanboy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, on one side as an actor, and as a co-star, and then also when you're the character and you're seeing, okay, this is what has happened, and just seeing as a character, as an arc that Kabir goes through. He is this soft and extremely loving lover who then goes through major emotions because of the passion that he has and everything. And I mean, I would see Shahid some days get into this zone, especially when he had to get into the angsty side of KabirSingh. I mean, there are many sides to this personality. That's why we keep giving out a little bit with every promo. I don't think I can completely define him and just call him the angry young man. There's a lot of angst, but I think it's all layered with a lot of emotion and passion as well. And every time he had to get into that angst, that zone he would go, and you just didn't want to be around Shahid Kapoor for those few minutes, because you knew that this is a volcano ready to erupt. Just as soon as it's action, he's charged.
A volcano of talent.
He is a volcano.
No, but one thing that you've observed, which I'm so happy that you observed it, because I worked really hard for it, was that even though the character has certain action sequences and he has a violent side to him and he's very aggressive, but because he's a medical student, the original was done by somebody who was very young. He was in his first 2-3 films, and he was probably the age of the character. I'm 38 and I'm playing 25, 26, right? So I was very keen that the character should look boyish. He should not be all muscled up and like looking like this action hero. Because I've seen people in real life, lean, scrawny guys who can really beat the shit out of people, and being a medical student and trying to make the film as real as it could have been, I worked very hard to first put on the weight and then lose much more weight than what my natural weight is, because I train, I go to the gym and stuff, so I'm more muscular as a personality type. But I wanted Kabir to look boyish and not somebody who's all muscled up, so that he looks real. And usually we don't show those. And like my favorite action hero is Mr. Bachchan, and he never had like a six-pack or like these ripped muscles, but I've never seen anybody look more convincing in action than him. So
That's
it's
a
about
wonderful example.
It's about the internalization of the aggression. It's not about the external visual. It's not about that.
Self-destructive characters, playing them can take a toll on you mentally. I mean, all my actor friends tell me that.
Yeah.
It can really take the piss out of you.
Yeah.
Did you feel that, especially on those self-destructive scenes?
Every day, especially the portions of the film that we shot where he's in that mode when he's self-destructive, which are the bearded portions of the film, when he's a bit of a loner, he lives alone. He's usually drunk and doesn't like people around him and is reactive. He doesn't have that much self-control. And I used to come back home very tired. But then I had to come back home to 2 kids and a wife, and so I had to make that flip, which was very essential because I didn't want them to miss out on how we are normally, just that normal feeling of being at home with family, that warmth and that love. So it did take a toll, definitely. It was just difficult.
Well, as a romantic lead, you also have no reason to complain. You've got these wonderful romantic songs with Arijit Singh singing one of them. You get to kiss the leading man, the heartthrob of this generation. So a bit of everything, yeah? Playing simple Punjabi kudi and at the same time, getting the romance.
But actually I feel the hardest thing sometimes is to do the simplest thing, which like a character, like even for that matter, even Preeti, she is extremely simple. She is innocent, vulnerable, yet centered. She's more responsive than reactive. She's the opposite of Kabir, but it takes a lot of internalizing to do, to actually just make sure it's in your eyes and without having much dialogue to fall back on, and just react to what your co-star is doing. But at the same time, just being that demure, simple girl. I mean, for me it's different because I am very animated. My hands will move no matter how much I'm trying to control them, and all these things. And to make it look natural and not just to keep it to really be in that whole zone with those emotions and everything can be equally challenging. And I think I realized that after I thought this would be much simpler than when I actually got into
in fact,
the
I
shoes
think
of
it's tougher
Preeti.
to do roles like that.
And you've done a few of
I've done a
them.
few, like in Jab We Met, or
Yeah.
like even a Padmavat, or I've played characters which are
Internalized.
not all out there, where the script is not giving you everything and you just need to do it. Where you need to create certain layers for yourself so that the performance looks solid and it makes impact without being loud. That's actually much tougher to do. And she actually had to start with the climax of the film. So
That was
she
the only
started
option.
shooting with the climax of the film because I had certain looks, and so we had to shoot in a certain order, and so she had to unfortunately do it like that. And I was so impressed with the way she came zoned into the character. It can be very difficult. I can't imagine doing something like that. So full marks to her.
And the pivot of the two of you and your love story, it is actually a story about a younger girl and an older man, isn't it?
It is.
in
It's
that
a
aspect.
senior junior.
Yeah.
So she's first year and
And
he
he
is
is last
passed out
It's
almost.
not much of a gap. It's okay.
4 years, 5 years. But yeah, there is the senior
4,
junior
5
angle. So a
is-
lot of
yeah.
people who kind of feel like it's slightly the male is the stronger character and the female is shown a little. It's not about male and female. It's about the senior junior. And in
Yeah.
college, you know how it is. When you're in a campus, a first year student, the way like one of the toppers of the college, or say the seniors in the college, there is always that angle
And
there
in
where you
medical
have to
college,
treat
there's a
them with
lot
certain
that
respect.
happens, and we've showed
Yeah.
all those, like, in medical college, whether it's, today I'm sure much less, and hopefully much less, but the ragging and everything that happens there,
Still happens.
people
there.
know.
Things
So I think Sandeep sir's really captured it very, very authentically.
And very candidly.
And very candidly,
without trying to
yeah.
be careful or trying to be, politically correct. Just things for how they are and as they
As
are.
they
And I
are.
think cinema needs to go there. We need to talk about life as it is, as opposed to showing this flowery version which doesn't exist, because cinema has to be more than that. It has to represent society, you know.
And wonderful ensemble cast. Mr. Oberoi plays your dad? Does he? Or
Plays
your
my
dad?
dad, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the other actors, please. Tell
But
us.
most of them are new, actually. Most of them are new, so you'll discover them in the film.
Your best friend is
Shiva
new.
is new.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be pretty crucial in the original
He is.
series.
He's very crucial.
Okay, we will deviate now. You know what this means in radio terms. Okay, so did you contribute with ideas to the look in terms of the beard and this and that, or was the template set in the
So the
Telugu?
template was set. We needed to rediscover it. We didn't want it to look like exactly the same thing, but the silhouettes were set because there's one portion where he is, you know, he has the beard and he has the scarf and doesn't look like he cares about how he's looking, so he needs to look out of shape and disinterested himself and self-destructive, so we needed to create that silhouette. There's obviously the college portion, so we needed to find a silhouette which works for the college-y part of the film, and then there's a climax portion in which there is a third look. So the fact that we needed three looks was defined, the headspace of the character in those three looks was defined, so we needed to rediscover it without making it look like it's exactly the same thing.
What's your daily style? Are you a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl, shorts kind of girl?
Athleisure kind of girl, so that I make sure I go to the gym. You know, you wake up, wear your gym clothes and hope that at some point in the day you're going to make it there. But yeah, that's more like it.
What's your cardio routine? Are you like a treadmill girl, or do you jog out in the open with your hoodie on? And if so, do you do intervals? Do you do sprints? What do you do?
I do sprints and intervals, but at the gym because it's too hot, and to be honest, I can't take the heat, so
You
I'm
can't
more
go
in
out,
the
you'll
gym.
get mobbed. But so, what's your cardio routine?
No, so I like to go to the gym because I like the atmosphere of being in a gym, and I like to go to a gym where there's some serious people training seriously. You know, because a lot of gyms it's more socializing than working out, and I also don't like to go to gyms which are very claustrophobic, because then you're, you know, absorbing more carbon dioxide than oxygen, and that's not necessarily good for you. So you need to go to. So I actually really enjoy outdoor training. In fact, I have a garden right outside my house, and a lot of the times at around say 5:30 in the evening, when it's just the right kind of temperature, I do some outdoor sessions. I do a lot of functional training. I try and do weights. I love doing weights. I know a lot of people feel like weights are outdated, but I really enjoy doing weights. I've been doing them for a while, so I like to mix it up.
We're doing a campaign called Save the Environment, Heal the World. What is happening in the Advani household to save the planet? Like, you know, Afroz Shah, this guy in Versova Beach, has been cleaning plastic out of the beach, and he says the beach keeps throwing back more plastic because, you know, we're really damaging the environment.
I live next to the sea, so I can vouch for that.
So what are you guys individually doing? What's happening in the Kapoor house, Advani house, to save the environment?
So I mean, there's of course the basics, like whether it's the electricity, whether it's saving your water, separating your garbage, all of that. But there's something that I recently discovered, which I'm not doing, but which I want to start doing. So we're also talking about water conservation, and I believe that the amount of water it takes when we're making clothes out of cotton is drastic. So it's advisable, and I think people are thinking of starting to switch to hemp, which is another material that does not require so much. So it's something that I'm thinking of doing something, collaborating with to help.
Saving the environment.
Lots of things, yeah. I think it's small things that you do on
Yeah.
a daily basis. Like she said, whether it's about conserving electricity, whether it is about carpooling, whether it is about conserving water and not having.
I love that he's got steel. You know, he's carrying his coffee
endless
around in
showers,
steel.
or whether it's about avoiding plastic as much as you can. It's just about being sensitive to the environment around you. It's about recognizing the fact that it's a give and take relationship. You just can't keep taking from nature. I mean, one day it'll all come back with, you know, sood ke saath wapas aayega, and then we won't be able to deal with it. You can already see the way the weather is changing all around the world. There is no seasons as such. It starts raining, suddenly it becomes hot, suddenly it becomes cold. There is no proper pattern to weather the way that it used to be. So we're aware of all these things, and we need to do everything in our capacity. There's something that I thought was really cool, which I came across, where they're saying that they're going to now start making carbon a currency.
Yeah, I heard that.
So what's going to happen is, according to the amount of carbon you use, there's going to be a certain number of points that you're going to be given, and that will be debited from your account
Fab.
as a currency. So you will have to control the amount of carbon you use on the basis of the number of flights that you catch, or the amount of time you spend in your car, the petrol that you fill. There will be a proper, you know, it'll be logged. And I think that's an amazing idea, because if you need people to get off fossil fuels, you need to do something like that.
Wow, I live, I learn.
Yeah.
A travel destination you went to and you said, wow.
Maldives. It was very recent.
Diving?
No, not yet.
Sacking out on the beach. Just sacking out on the beach in the Maldives.
All of that, yeah.
Did you do snorkeling?
I unfortunately had very bad weather but I did do snorkeling.
Saw some fish. Yeah.
Saw some fish.
Travel place you went to and said, wow.
Mykonos.
In Greece.
Yeah, I loved it. It's beautiful.
The food, the place, everything.
Everything. I just, so there are certain places where you go and you feel it's laid back, and there are certain places where you go where you feel like it's hectic, it's a party vibe. But the nice thing about Mykonos is that it's not druggy in nature. It doesn't have that dark energy. But at the same time, it's very laid back. One side of Mykonos is really laid back, and then it has this whole market area and these little pubs and clubs in there where you can walk around, you can chill for a bit. There's some nice music going around. So me and Meera really liked the fact that we could do a bit of both, because there's this clean beach area as well, and they have these little clubs on the beach where they start playing music during sundowners, and it's really nice.
He went for the swearing-in ceremony. How cool is that, man?
Yeah, it was a privilege, man. It's the Prime Minister of the country. It was a privilege to be there and to be invited.
Yeah, a few goosebumps,
Yeah, of course. Just sitting there and experiencing that was spectacular.
Who's your BFF and why?
My BFF. I have a bunch of them. I think my school friends, they've been with me since school. We're 5 girls, and they're my 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 5 a.m.
Can't choose between the 5. Bura lag jayega.
Can't.
Your turn. Your BFF and who would be?
Honestly, I think right now my BFF is my wife. I mean, you have to be really good friends if you wanna, if you want to be successful at marriage. So I think that's the core of it. You have to learn to understand each other, and you probably spend everything, all your decisions are kind of together, especially once you have kids. So yeah, you have to tag team life in general.
Tag team, that's the code. What's your favorite decade and why? In terms of music, in terms of style, in terms of fashion, anything. A decade that you would like to go back to. It could be the current one.
I was going to say that. I think where we are at right now, because everything's coming back anyway into fashion. Remakes are happening, remixes are happening. So that's the current one. I'm all about the now.
I'm all about the time before this 3G and 4G and Instagram and Twitter happened. I really feel like you could experience life much more from a real place than from this digital experience that everybody is, and this alternate personality that everybody's trying to be, but you can actually never be that. You're just trying to represent something, and memories are becoming more about photographs than about how you felt when you were there. So I'm totally the opposite.
Lovely. My last question. What's your favorite food when you're growing up? What is it that gives you the warm fuzzy feeling when you have it?
Dal chawal. Nothing like home food.
Gulab jamun and vanilla ice cream mixed up, bro. Garam gulab jamun and thandi.
And did you ever have Coke float? Like vanilla ice cream, Coca-Cola? Or Limca? Because I endorse Limca. I can't say the other one. Just cut that out. Coca-Cola and Limca. Sorry, I ruined it again.
Limca float?
Limca float.
I love you guys. Thank you very much. You have to cut an interview at the point when it starts going overboard. It's just the right size. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before we went into other floats.